Breaking news on a national story with local ties that we've been following. A federal immigration judge in central Louisiana has ruled the U.S. can move forward with the deportation of Mahmoud Khalil. I was in Jena today as the hearing played out.
Today and every day, we call for the abolition of this country's inhumane detention system. In a hearing on Friday, Assistant Chief Immigration Judge Jamie Coleman ruled that the determination Khalil poses, quote, adverse foreign policy consequences against the U.S. is, quote, facially reasonable. Coleman is holding in abeyance the second deportation ground cited by the Trump administration, a claim that Khalil committed immigration fraud because he omitted information about his work history in his green card application. The former Columbia University graduate student is being held at this facility here at the ICE Processing Center, and his lawyers have until April 23rd to appeal his deportation. Our people deserve better than to have their futures at the whims of private prison corporations, uncaring of our communities. Groups in opposition, including the Southeast Dignity Not Detention Coalition and Palestinian Youth Movement NOLA, urge for Khalil's reunion with his family and demand the release of all who are detained at the ICE Processing Center in Jena.
It's about instilling fear. It's about scaring the American public into submission so they won't speak out against the U.S.-funded occupation of Palestine and this regime's ongoing genocide in Gaza. But we are here today to deliver a message. These tactics will fail. Our movement remains strong, and it grows stronger with each act of repression.
Addressing the court, Khalil in part said, quote, there's nothing that's more important to this court than due process rights and fundamental fairness. Clearly, what we witnessed today, neither of these principles were present today or in this whole process, end quote. As Khalil faces an April 23rd relief deadline before his deportation to either Syria or Algeria. Well, Khalil has been in ICE custody since March 8th following his arrest by Homeland Security agents at his university residence. His green card was revoked while detained for leading pro-Palestinian protests on the campus of Columbia University during the ongoing Israel-Hamas war.